everyone, welcome back to your show Ask Kaveti. I'm your host Manal, and hopefully by now you remember my name because you see me every week, and I love seeing you guys too. So today we're going to talk about international licenses and how long can you drive with them and if you can drive with them. So who better to ask than our guest, Mr. Kaveti. How are you today, sir?
Hi, welcome back to Ask Kaveti episodes. Welcome to Mana TV International. Today we're going to talk basically what are the rights of people who visit America, either students or visitors, can they drive with international license. The law says because there are certain conventions between America and different parts of the world that if you have a license in your country, home country, you can drive in America. For some states they say you can drive for 3 months, and some states they say 6 months. So bottom line is you have to see which state you're driving, because the driving is it's a privilege given by the state. So in America there are 50 states, so there are 50 different laws, state laws, traffic laws. So you have to check it out as which state you're driving a car. And in New York it's only 3 months. You can drive a car with an international license only for 3 months, not more than that.
So, Mr. Kaveti, let's just start by asking, if a visitor has an international license, can they drive in America?
If you come with on a visitor visa, yes, you can drive if you have a license which is in English. If your license in overseas, foreign country, if it is in English, you could drive in America for 3 months. In New York, some states have 6 months requirement. Yes, you could drive. That's the first thing. Second thing, when you drive a vehicle, a motor vehicle in America, you have to know the rules of New York or the state rules, traffic rules. Why? Because when you are when you're renting a car, you should also have an extra insurance in case you end up in an accident. So third thing is you can drive only motor cars, but not commercial vehicles.
For how long can they drive with an international license?
As I said to audience earlier, that they could drive for at least definitely for 3 months. Some states allow for 6 months. So as I rightly said again, I'm reiterating the fact, check it out with the state, which state you're driving. If you're driving in California, it's a different law. If you're driving in Rhode Island, it's a different law. So check out the local laws and go to their website, Department of Motor Vehicles. Then they will indicate how many months you can drive with an international license.
Can international students, because we see a lot of them coming here to study, and most of the times they do have a license, international license. So my question is, can international students drive in America with an overseas license or a foreign license?
For international students, because when the students come to America, when they take admission in a school, they become a domiciliary of that particular state or particular that county. Once you become a domiciliary of this country, the local police will allow you to drive for 3 months. But however, you have to take a domestic license. That means you have to pass the written test and a real driving test. So I would say you have to go back and take local license, whichever the state and whichever the county you are.
How long can they drive with this license?
The international students can drive a car in America, I would say 3 months to 6 months, depending upon the state.
So I recently just got my license as well, and I haven't driven on a highway yet. So my question is that when you are driving on a highway or on a city road and police stops you, what happens then? What are your rights?
When you're driving in a highway, you will see a police called highway police. They are actually called state police. They are called state troopers. And when you're driving in a city, normally the city police will stop you. So you have to be careful when you're driving in a highway, because in the highway the state troopers they are having radar guns, and once they see that you're driving, beyond the limits of speed limits, they can stop you, and they can also give you a ticket. And two, you should also be careful that whether your lights are working or not. And number three, when you're changing the lanes, and if you're following the speed limits, and if you're breaching any of that, these are called traffic infractions. The police can stop you. The rights you have is when the police officer approaches you, they can ask your license, driving license, they can ask your insurance information, so you don't have to get down from the car. When the police asks you, you have an obligation to respond to them and identify yourself by giving your identity card, either your driving license or a passport, and the car title deeds and the insurance papers. If any of these are missing, then the police can detain you. And sometimes if they see any smell in your car, or if they see any contraband, if they see any unlawful substance in your car, they can detain you too. So your right is to answer their questions.
So when the police does stop you, can they check your cars? And what are the rights of the people with international licenses under the U.S. Constitution?
When you are in a public place, when you're driving a car, yes, under the U.S. Constitution, because you're in a public place, and it is called plain view. That means when the police officer can look at your car, they can stop you, detain you, and if they have any doubt that if there's any illegal substance in your car, or contrabands, or even drugs, anything unlawful is there in your car, they can ask you to get down from the car. They can check the car. They can search your car. Under the U.S. Constitution, they can search the car when you're in a public, when you're outside on the streets. So your rights are, if they ask you any questions about your identity, you're required to answer them. If they ask any more questions, then you have certain other rights called Miranda rights.
Can you tell us more about the Miranda rights?
Okay, Miranda rights are the rights conferred by the U.S. Constitution. There are four things stipulated by the U.S. Supreme Court. In the Miranda rights, they said anybody who's been detained in America, whether it's a citizen or a non-citizen, as long as you're in American soil, you have a right to remain silent, number one. Number two, you have a right to be represented by an attorney. Number three, if you don't have an attorney will be provided to you. And number four, whatever the information you give it to the law enforcement guys, that will be used as against you. That means you could incriminate yourself if you give any information. So you have a right to have an attorney, means the attorney will give you your rights. So these are the rights which are given by the U.S. Supreme Court in Miranda case. So these Miranda it has revolutionized American history, legal history, and many other countries also adopted similar thing as Miranda. Similarly, in UK they have right to remain silent under the UK law. Similarly, they have similar thing in Australia, and even in India also under CRPC, you have a right to remain silent, and you have a right to be represented by an advocate. So these are taken as a human rights law because US because US as the largest court, US Supreme Court, and it's got biggest jurisdiction in the world, because the whole of United States, 50 states, because the most powerful Supreme Court in the world. So whatever the laws or whatever the precedent passed or judgments passed by the US Supreme Court, most of the countries, they follow this. So this has become like a human right law in many Western world. So this is also followed in some parts of Africa and as well as India too.
And Mr. Kaveti, when you are a visitor in the U.S., will the U.S. government, provide a lawyer under the Miranda rights?
The beauty in Miranda rights, they said anybody who's detained in America, it did not distinguish between a visitor or an immigrant or a non-immigrant. If you see many times in TVs or any shows, a lot of people who are in America if you see, mostly, people who are coming from other countries, if they get arrested in this country, or if they committed any murder or any serious crimes, if they don't have money or if they don't have any family, the governments do provide lawyers. Under the Miranda rights, they do provide you a lawyer, even if you're a visitor or even if you're an undocumented alien. That means even if you have a visa or if you don't have a visa, if you're a green card holder or a citizen, still the US government does provide a right of a lawyer to you. Yes, under the Miranda rights, you do get a lawyer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaveti. I am surprised by how much knowledge you have on these topics, because sometimes we're asking you all these questions and you somehow always have an answer for us. So thank you so much, and anything else you would like to tell us?
Thanks for watching Mana TV and Ask Kaveti episodes. We're going to come up with more episodes like this, and this show is only for information and education purposes, and don't take this as an attorney and client relationship, and we're not trying to solicit business out of this. And if you have any specific questions, please contact the competent lawyer in your jurisdiction so that you get competent lawyers to represent you and protect your interest. And then thanks, and please be tuned. We're coming back with more series like this with the general topics of law. It could be pertaining to the US law or international law. Thank you very much.
So guys, that was another episode of Ask Kaveti, provided to you by Mana TV International. I hope you are coming weekly and tuning in each week with us, where we talk about these different topics and ask these incredible questions. And I hope you are learning something new each week. So I hope to see you again. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mana TV, and join our Facebook group. See you next time.